Hello everybody, welcome back to Book Corner. I am Hermione, author and lover of all good things literature. So in today's video I'm going to be talking more about my book, though I'm not really going to be talking much about them, just talk about fantasy in general and about my decision to keep the stuff in my book at a certain kind of level, but then as the books progress on, it gets more and more adult. Because we're not adult in the way you think, but adult in other ways, because she's going to age and everything. So one of the things that I know as an author, and I think that a lot of authors either know or should know, is that whatever you put out there, good or bad, if it is consumed by a large number of a certain demographic, that you're going to either get haters or you're going to get fans. And as someone who grew up in the 80s, became an adult in the really late 90s and was a full adult in the early 2000s and on. In all honesty, I did not see this kind of stuff that we see now. YA fantasy was for a certain demographic, and you were actually made fun of if you read YA as a 31 or 32-year-old woman. So for example, it's like early this morning I bought The Witcher. Yes, The Witcher. It's a book that inspired the video games and the Netflix show. And I got it because it's adult fantasy. Very adult fantasy. But I know what you know what you're getting into when you read adult fantasy. So when I sat down to write my book that has 15-year-old Gwen in it, I made it abundantly clear to myself that this is not going to be a Sarah J. Maas book or a Rebecca Yarnos book where you have characters that we don't get their age, we don't know how old they are. They could be 14 for all we know. Being in these very adult situations. Now, in all honesty, war is by definition destroys childhoods, destroys innocence. That's the nature of war. It destroys everybody's innocence and everybody's lives. And I really think that Sarah J. Maas in The Throne of Glass does this very well by basically making it very clear that the protagonist is not innocent and is not this sweet little girl. She's killed people and all that type of stuff. And that is very good for us to know this. Rebecca Yarnos' books leave a lot to be desired. And this is from someone who is reading the digital copy of Ironflame. When I sat down to write a YA fantasy book, I make her age very abundantly clear. I say she's 15 years old, which means this is a YA fantasy book. Now as the books get on, she will become 18, 19, 20. And we're not really going to see men vying for her attention until she's at least in her 20s. We make this very clear that in that culture there is a line in the sand when it comes to age groups and everything. So that is very much part of their culture. There's that boundary that is in the sand. Um, this boundary does not exist in traditionally published YA fantasy. In fact, if I submitted my manuscript for a 15-year-old girl, I would definitely be told, we'll publish it, but you have to put sex scenes in it. Or you gotta have your protagonist kissing older men. Why? Why would I want to do that to my book? Because that is what people expect in fantasy nowadays. They expect 15-year-old girls to be kissing 27-year-old women or 49-year-old men or 300-year-old vampires or whatever. Because this is what the brain rot has done to people. As somebody who refuses to do that, I will be I will be self-publishing the book. Because in self-publishing, you are your own person. You're your own publishing house. You're your own editor, your own whatever. The business that you're in, you have full control over everything that deals with that book. You don't do that. Don't do that at all. And of course, there's rules about, sexual slavery, but that is dealt way down the road. For people that want to know, sexual slaves who do make money to earn their own freedom, they generally get into it when they're in their mid-20s. That is the youngest that brothels will allow them in, is in their mid-20s. So everything about the book is extremely vanilla. If you don't like that kind of stuff, if you fantasize about 11-year-olds having sex with 29-year-old men, you have something wrong with you inside the head. Just to put it out there. But this is the problem with YA fantasy, is there is no line. And I am going to be very blunt. Okay, this is booksellers' fault. This is publishing houses' fault. If you go and have fantasy writers that are writing these books that have protagonists of unknown age having relations with 300, 400, 500-year-old vampires, and you stick them in a high school library, you're going to get backlash. And authors, I will be very blunt, authors do not have any control over where the books are placed. They have no control over how books are ordered. They have no control over any of it. All their job is to enjoy the profits that come from all those hours of hard work. So one of the things that I make very abundantly clear in the book is there is a guy who teaches Gwen herbalism and how to control her abilities, and he is in his early 40s. There is no relationship that goes on between these two characters. So when I use the word companion, I don't mean it as a sexual thing. I mean it as a friendship thing. And I know that it's very difficult for people to grasp their head around. Oh, companion means sex. No, companion does not mean sex. If you go and look at much older fantasy, companion usually 9 out of 10 will mean companion, traveling partner, traveling partner, friend. So when we go and look at books like Lord of the Rings, they are in a fellowship and they're going out there to do what has to be done. But but nowadays companion is like sexual in nature. You got a young woman who is pretty, and you got an older man who is handsome, then oh yeah, they got to get together. No, no, not in my book. Not in any of the books that are going to come after this one. I'm not doing that. Absolutely, absolutely refuse to do that. And that is because I have an obligation to keep the book clean and within that age range. So that's the thing. That is the problem with YA fantasy, is you have this incessant desire to promote these very unhealthy relationships that are like, oh, this is so cute and this is so sweet. It's not cute, it's not sweet. It's sick. It really is sick. Lots of sick. Whole bunch of sick. And so that's my problem with YA fantasy. That is my problem with publishing houses, traditional publishing houses. And I was watching this one video, and basically I do agree with her when she says that the purpose of it is to get these young people to buy the book, to consume it, to become rabid fans. And that's why you have these people buying these special editions and stuff like that. They don't ever question, is this relationship normal? Is this the kind of relationship I would want my daughter to be involved in? And the answer is yes, I would love my daughter to be involved in a abusive relationship where she gets beaten and starved and all that type of stuff, because that's sexy. That's the kind of stuff that I love in my books. That's not healthy. That's not good. And as fantasy writers, we are creating these worlds where anything is possible. And unfortunately, one of the things that's possible is abuse. You know, it's seen as cute and as sweet and as, you know, oh, she's going to be a big old fluffy teddy bear. I mean, come on. This is a teddy bear. A 300-year-old vampire is never going to change his ways. At all. So that was what I said I was going to do in the book, was that I was going to keep it entirely YA. I was going to write things in it that is appropriate for that age group. And if I don't make any money off of it, if none of you people out there in the universe want to read a book that is appropriate for a 13-year-old girl, okay, fine. I don't care. I'm still going to write the book. But definitely I would be told, getting back to the whole thing with traditional publishing, if I try to show that manuscript off with a very 15-year-old girl, and she's not having sex and all this stuff, my manuscript would be turned down. No matter how good it was, no matter if this is the next Lord of the Rings, I would be turned down, because I do not put her having relations with 800-year-old vampires or whatever. And literally that's how it is in fantasy. You gotta hook the girl up with the extremely older man. You know, she's gotta be whipped on a bed, and she's gotta, with chains and whips, and because that's what people want. Well, I'm sorry, I'm not here to give you what you want. I'm here to give people that want a good story with good characters what they want. But anyways, I'm going to end it there. If you guys have any thoughts on this, and all that, I would love to hear it from you. But yeah, so my book is coming out around Christmas time, and I hope you guys will enjoy it, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.